I'm with Gary Asbury. Gary's the president of Professional Testing Labs in Dalton, Georgia. And Gary, it's great having you back on the program with us.
Thanks, Dave. It's been a good while.
I've been thinking about the subject of this conversation, and that's why I came to you, who does the testing on a lot of the product that leaves this town. Salespeople and retailers in general have more pressure on them now to offer better service, to know their products better, to have a bigger selection than anybody else, especially in this environment when 90% of the customers that are going to walk in the front door have been on the internet and they know little or a lot about the products there, which puts the pressure on these salespeople to really know more. When it comes to carpet, there's a lot of information available. Some samples have a lot of labels on the back. Some of them don't have as many, but there's a lot of information there that means something in terms of the ability of carpet, its wear properties, and many of its properties. And having a working knowledge of these specifications can be a valuable part of better service for these retailers and retail salespeople. Customers want certain characteristics in the carpets that they're going to buy. That information is in a lot of these specs. They just don't know it. Somebody needs to interpret that for them. And I think for the salesperson, it's probably a great opportunity to upgrade the product. Now, I guess everybody has some sort of wear characteristics, appearance characteristics when they go in a store to buy carpet. Those facts are in a lot of those specifications, but they're hidden, I guess, for many people. You know, what do they mean? And let me just put the question to you. Of all the information that's available, fiber type and density and twist levels and a lot of other things, how does one determine from all that what the appearance retention of a carpet will be? And I guess that's really the important factor.
It probably is, Dave, but you know, the carpet specifications, all of which you were alluding to, its construction, the fiber type, they all affect its performance, its durability, and ultimately the customer's satisfaction. When a retail salesperson's familiar with each of these product details, it'll instill confidence in the consumer, which ultimately results in closing more sales. If it's all right with you, before I get into a discussion about the performance, appearance, ratings, and color fastness, and stain resistance, and cleanability, I think it's important to keep in mind providing the product that best meets your customer's specific needs is the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
To that end, you need to be able to get to know your customer, win him over. And you asked me to comment about this before.
Know what their needs are.
Yeah, know what their needs are, and clearly know your product. So it's a twofold deal, and I own a laboratory here today, a professional testing laboratory. It's the biggest one in the country for all manner of floor cover testing, and we've got 10 different industries that we test for. But when I used to own a Chevrolet dealership, I was blessed to be able to retire by the ripe old age of 29. And you asked me to comment on this, so that's why I'm doing it. Otherwise, I would not do so. But I knew more about the Ford than the Ford dealer salesman knew. And I knew a lot more about the Chevrolet than the Ford dealer ever hoped to want to know. I knew the advantages where the Chevrolet had and the disadvantages, and I knew the competitors' products extremely well. Well, Ford and Chevrolet both made great products. They still do. But knowing and being able to convey the important things that the consumer wanted in a pickup or a car won their confidence, and I wound up selling a whole lot of cars and be able to retire when I was 29. So, key get to know your product and your product's specifications and all of the products out there. And just as importantly, get to know that customer. Now, a woman walks into the Chevrolet dealership, 4 kids hanging on her from ages 2 to 8, and walks up to the Corvette and says, "Man, I sure love that red car." And you could compliment her on her good tastes while leading her towards an SUV or a minivan, because that car is not going to suit her needs, okay? Similarly, that same woman in your floor covering store may love the look and the feel of the wool silk blend carpet, but unless she plans to hang it on the wall, you better lead her towards a floor covering with exceptional stain resist and cleanability, okay? So there's where getting to know your customer comes in really handy. When you know your products well, it gives you that credible factor, and oftentimes product A can be justified because it costs 50% more than does product B. It may meet your customer's needs better. Conversely, if you're really honest with the customer, there may be times where product B, frankly, will suit her needs better. Now, she may go ahead and buy A anyway, but either way, your knowledge helped you win that sale. Yeah. She had confidence in you. But, ultimately the goal is to sell her the product and make her happy long term. All right, now, back to the testing specifics, if you will. All right. All the information on the product specification label, whether it's on the piece of carpet or on the display waterfall board or wherever it is, the amount of detail can be difficult to comprehend, and it varies a lot depending upon which manufacturer made it and what that manufacturer deemed appropriate. But
some of them have more information on it than others.
Quite frankly, yes. Not to say they all have that same information. They just
don't know. Put it on the samples.
Yeah, it may for one reason or another. Maybe they don't think it's consumer relevant. Perhaps much of it is not. But that information was derived from the testing, whether done at my laboratory or some other place. I've never seen a label that did not include the pile weight, which is the amount of yarn per square yard, and the fiber type, however. But when you go to putting the density and the pile height and the yarn's twist per inch, all of these specifications contribute to the they make up what the construction of the carpet actually is, but ultimately they result in how the floor covering will perform. Now, before we lose our audience here, we're not going to delve into how we calculate the density or the twist per inch, but you've asked me to comment on those specific things. So in general terms, and there are exceptions to all of this, but the higher the twist per inch is, the potential for retaining the tip definition of each individual yarn bundle is, okay? On the other hand, it's not always the case that when the retailer says, here's our good product that weighs 40 ounces, and this one weighs 50, and this one weighs 60, if we are dealing specifically with just appearance retention, the 60 ounce does not always outperform in appearance retention the 40 and the 50. So, having said that, and hopefully not making any of our customers, all of which make carpet, and we've got everybody that makes carpet as our customer, the advantages to the higher weights give you a different look and a different feel, and it's just, she may desire that.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
The sliding scale.
Let's talk just a minute about how those how important the one number is that I think the sales staff needs to for sure know, and that's the performance appearance retention rating, or PAR rating. That is a result of actual foot traffic in our laboratory, where I hire people that do nothing but walk on carpet in a serpentine pattern, and every time they walk across it, they're going across it in an opposite direction. It's a test protocol that was developed many years ago, and it's what the consumer wants to know is, how does my carpet look?
Yeah.
Now, if you'll recall, back in the old days, DuPont made an appearance, a guarantee on their product not to lose more than 10% of the fiber weight. And if it did, it would replace that segment that happened to have lost the 10%. Well, virtually never did the product lose 10% of its yarn. I mean, the stuff doesn't just wear off and disappear. So they paid no claims, essentially. But it got ugly. And that's what the consumer was complaining about, not that it was losing 10% of its fiber loss. So that's why this performance appearance retention or rating was developed, and the contract walker test method was developed. Shaw Industries, giving credit where it is due, came to me many years ago and asked me to be the independent laboratory that would do this, and helped. We developed the protocol and have been doing it for many years since. Now,
So you hire people, they come in and walk around in this serpentine pattern all day long and have lunch and go do it in the afternoon?
and go in the afternoon all day long.
Very-
10-minute break every hour. Vacuum the carpet, 10-minute break, walk on it. 50 minutes, take a 10-minute break, vacuum the carpet, walk on it.
So when people see this on the little label in the back, they can be guaranteed that this is really a legitimate people walking on it test
Absolutely.
that resulted in this.
Sure. Now, there are mechanical ways to simulate what the actual people have done, but the gold standard is the people that do the actual walking. There's things called hexapods and Vetterman drums, and there used to be a tetrapod. And bottom line is, you know, they all try to replicate the appearance of what the people actually do, and that being the gold standard, and that's what we do every day of the week. And right after this interview, if you'd like to go watch them walk, Dave, or maybe make a lap, we'll check your shoes and see if that'll work for you, okay? They walk an average of 16 miles a day. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. And then, of course, then we have, through the Carpet and Rug Institute, and now their ISO standard appearance rating scales to help us determine what the numerical rating is after the people have walked across it 20,000 times. 20,000 passes with human traffic, and then rate it. Now, if you're a grandmother with a pet cat, 20,000 times is probably several years. If this woman in the Chevrolet analogy with her 4 kids, it won't be several years. So it's a comparison between one product to another and its appearance retention after a specified amount of actual walking.